Hey guys, welcome back. Happy February. I've already forgotten the month, and that's the whole point of this video. So I thought we could chit chat a little bit about the books that I read in January. You can't see my stack. I'm gonna try to pick it up, but I don't know how well that's gonna go. Oh. Wow, this is so heavy. So I read 13 books this month. Fantastic. I was actually quite shocked at the amount of... Oh, my cat is jumping around behind me. I was actually shocked at the amount of books that I read this month. I definitely started off 2023 strong. So let me see, I have my list here because I did not only read physical books, I had some digital and some audiobooks. So let's just jump right into it and start off with the first book that I read in the month of January. That was like a mouthful. First book, The Priory of the Orange Tree. I was so proud of myself for reading this book. For some reason, it like really intimidated me. I don't know why, because like when you open it, like it's not like it has small words or anything like that, and it has really large borders. So I don't think this book necessarily needed to be so large, though I do love this book. I think it's beautiful. But essentially, the spine's all cracked up. It is kind of like Game of Thrones-esque, like the difference, like I feel like the big thing in this book is it's very hoorah woman power, which I love. So it follows a couple different people and a couple different places as well. So you kind of jump around between multiple storylines. But the gist is that there is some evil creature. I think he's like a dragon is kind of what he is. An evil dragon. And he is like coming back after 1,000 years of being in like a slumber. So they are trying to like stop him. That's pretty much the gist of what happens. There's a bunch of different storylines, so there's a lot of different like subplots and stuff like that. But I loved this book. I loved all the characters, and I was just really shocked at how like excited I was after I read this book. And what's it called? The Day of Fallen Night, I think, or something like that. The prequel just came out. Actually, I don't even know if it's out yet. It comes out this month, I'm pretty sure. So I will be picking it up. Exciting. So thank you. I loved this book. Recommend. The next book is Missing Its Dust Jacket. And I'm so sorry about my cat. It looks like one of those clocks with the flapping tails. He's just gonna, distract. The next book I read is Under the Whispering Door. So it is Missing Its Dust Jacket because I spilled something on it and ruined it. So it went right in the garbage. And my bookmark's still in here. But this book was really sweet. It also kind of made me anxious while I was reading it. It's pretty much about a man who was like horrible. Like he was just like not like he didn't really necessarily like didn't do anything. Like he wasn't a murderer or anything like that. But he was just like a bad guy. Like he wasn't nice. He treated people horribly, and he is dead, so he dies. And there's these people who are like bringing him into the afterlife essentially. So it's about his journey in death before moving on, and the setting is so sweet. It's at a tea shop, and I just really loved the setting and everything. Like I think that was my favorite part. But it does talk a lot about like death and like missing out on stuff in life and regretting it when you're dead. So like I get really anxious about stuff like that. Like, I don't want to talk about death or dying or what happens in the afterlife, or I don't want to hear any of it. So it did make me a little anxious, so I will say that. But I did like the story. It did feel like long. Like I felt like it didn't need to be as long as it actually was. It just felt like it dragged on a lot. But the character development for all the characters, like you would think that you were just getting like the main character, the one who's dead, like his journey, but you really get the journey from all the characters, and I really enjoyed it. So, and this is by TJ Klune, so I enjoyed, and I know he has a new book coming out soon too, so I haven't read it, obviously, because it doesn't exist yet, but I recommend the author. I think he did a really good job. Next on my list, actually, I think I listened to an audiobook in between this. Not yet. Not there yet. The next book I read is The Poison Season. This is my Owl Crate edition, so it looks a little bit different than the original. Actually, the original looks more like this. But this book is by Mara Rutherford, and this was so cute. It was like a very easy, like quick read. I think I read it in like one day or something like that. And it's just very like warm, you know? Like it just felt like a little fairy tale. Like it had some good story in there, some good plot, I will say. But it wasn't anything like amazing. Like I don't think it was like the best book I've ever read, but I did find the characters cute and it was just easy, quick read. I think it was good, mid in my opinion, but moving on. The next, I went on a roll for my next, 5 books. So I read the whole Caraval series, and I actually did a reading vlog of me reading these. If you want to check it out, I will link it. But I love this so much. I wanted this to be my whole personality for like weeks straight after I finished reading it. And this is by Stephanie Garber. So it is Caraval, Legendary, and Finale. And they were so good. Caraval I loved. Legendary I was like meh about. But Finale was amazing. I love the characters. It's like, so it's marketed, I think, as like a circus book, but in my opinion, this does not give circus vibes. It gives like very whimsical and magical towns. Like the way Stephanie Garber describes things is so good and just like beautiful. It makes you feel like you're reading just like this old-timey fairy tale almost. And the characters are so nice. I love them all. They have good depth and like they're not like flat or anything like that. I feel like every character had some good stuff going on in their lives. So I do highly recommend reading Caraval. But even more than I liked Caraval, I read Once Upon a Broken Heart and The Ballad of Never After. I went feral for these stories, especially The Ballad of Never After. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So this is the same thing that she does in Caraval. Like, obviously it's not the same story or anything like that, but it is so whimsical and just fun, and you can see how much her writing improved in these two stories. Just like her descriptions of things are amazing, and like I said this in my vlog too, like she describes things like a blue apple, but she doesn't make it sound weird. Like it just sounds normal. Like, oh, he was eating a blue apple. Like no one thinks it's odd or anything like that. So I really liked it. This series is in the same universe as Caraval, so you do see some of the characters, and I did like that. And one of my favorite characters was one of the main characters in this, and I'm not gonna say who because I don't want to spoil anything, but I cannot wait. The third one comes out this year. I want it right now. The ending of the second one broke my heart. Oh my gosh, I was so sad afterwards. And this like definitely threw me into a reading slump. But it is about a girl who makes a deal with someone and it's not how she expected it to be, which is obviously a common theme throughout these stories. And she goes on like a journey almost afterwards. So she makes this bad deal and she thinks she's like, okay, it's over with, you know, there's no more repercussions, I don't have to do anything. And then she has to journey to a place called the North, and she realizes that maybe there are some repercussions for what she did, and she is not quite done with the person she was dealing with. So it's so beautiful, and the difference between, so Caraval is very like warm and summery and hot, so I think it's like in the south is what it is, and this is just like icy and just think of like a magical winter forest. That is what these stories make me think of. Gosh, and the main character, Evangeline Fox is her name. I love her so much, and she has pink hair. So cute. My favorite. Enough about Stephanie Garber. Read all of her books. I love them. I recommend. Now I think is when I hit my, I finished an audiobook, and this is The Zodiac Academy 8. I have so much to say about this story. I could make a whole video about this book. I started off reading it on my Kindle, and then I got like, I think I was only like not even a quarter of the way through, and it was just really unbearable. So I decided, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play the audiobook instead, so maybe I can get through it, because I was really dedicated to finishing it, even though I just really hated it. I couldn't DNF it. I just couldn't do it. And so I started the audiobook, and as soon as I click it on, the people who narrate this audiobook are just, I'm so sorry to them, but it was atrocious. It was the worst audiobook I've ever listened to. Like, their voices and the way the girl was, okay, she was fine, but there's a guy narrator, and wow. Like, anytime he would talk, I had to fight myself from, like, to not laugh or cringe, because it was just so bad. And it didn't help that the story was atrocious. So this is the 8th story in the Zodiac Academy series. I waited so long for this book to come out. I loved Zodiac Academy. I think everyone knows, like, it's not written great. It's, like, kind of really poorly written. And there's just this, like, I don't know what it is, allure to it, that it's like, you know it's bad, but you love the story and you love the characters, so, like, you can't give up on it. But the 8th one, wow, it was horrible. It lost all the charm of all of the other books that I felt like it had. Like, the characters were split up pretty much the whole time, so they weren't all together, which is, like, the best part, is them interacting with each other and them being together. So that was terrible, and it was very sad, like, to not have them together. And I hated the way she took 99% of the characters. There was also way too many point of views from irrelevant people that I had no idea why they were even, like, getting their own point of view. So I just really didn't like it, and it was supposed to be the last one, and they're like, surprise, we're doing a 9th one. And I think it's general consensus is that, please don't. Why couldn't you have ended it at the 8th one? It's like, the story could have been wrapped up in a good way, but they just are taking it further, and it's just so irrelevant, and I just don't think it's needed. But I apologize to anyone who does like the 8th book. I personally just thought it was horrible and couldn't stand it. It took me, I think, well over a month to finish it, because I just dreaded listening to it. So, enough on that. I think that was probably the worst book I've read ever. But the next book I read was so cute. I think I did so much fantasy, I was like really needing palate cleansers, so that's what happens next. The next book I read is Heartstoppers Volume 1. So this is a graphic novel, and so cute. I was really hesitant to read Heartstoppers just because I feel like with graphic novels, I'm paying the same price as a book, but I can read this in like 30 minutes. But at the same time, I loved it. And I thought it was so worth it, and it was so cute and adorable. And it totally makes sense that obviously they should be priced the same. Like, it's still a book, and someone still put their effort and work into this. It feels like, I go through it so quickly that it's not as satisfying. I loved this one. I actually read it, loved it so much that I watched the full season that is on Netflix of Heartstoppers. So, I'm a fan. I then went online and ordered the 2nd and the 3rd. There's also a 4th, and I think the 5th and last one comes out this year. So I recommend it. It's so cute. So it's about, like, coming of age, kind of like these 2 boys in an all-boys private school. Actually, I don't know if it's a private school, but it's an all-boys school. And the one boy is gay, and the other boy that he meets, and they kind of, like, form a relationship, is not struggling with his, yes, he is struggling with his sexuality. He's, like, always thought that he was straight, and then he, figures out that maybe that's not the case. But it's so cute and the characters are just amazing. And I loved the TV show too. I thought it was really nice and it follows like really well. It's just, it has additional stuff, which is good. But it follows the graphic novel pretty well. Cute, I recommend. I still haven't read the second or the third yet, but that is on my list. Next, okay. These were, I don't have the third one. I have it on digital. I read The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer is the third one. I haven't bought the third one yet because they've been coming out these new covers, and I love them, so I want the third one, and I don't think they have it out yet, but so cute. I have actually seen the TV show. I watched the TV show first, but I liked these stories. I really liked the first one, and then the second one was okay, and I really wasn't a huge fan of the last one. At times, I was like, okay, this is cute, but, like, I hated the characters. Sometimes, like, they were just so annoying, and I would be like, why would you do that? Or why would you think that? And I had to keep reminding myself, like, these are children. Like, they are, like, 16. Like, the first one, the girl's 16th birthday is in the book. So, like, obviously, they're going to be immature and have, like, you know, immature tendencies because they are kids. They're teenagers. So I had to remind myself a lot. But the last book, I just really didn't like the direction it went. I thought it was weird, and I don't know, I would have preferred it just to be a different direction than what it did. But it is about a group of kids who go to a vacation house every summer, and they, like, grew up together. And the main character, her name is Belly, and she's so cute, but she is the only girl, so she has a brother, and then the other family that stays at the house with her has 2 boys. So it's kind of like her story of growing up, and she's, like, maturing and growing into herself, and she also finds, like, struggling with her feelings towards both brothers, pretty much. But the main one is Conrad, she's been obsessed with him, she's loved him her whole life, so that's, like, her main, you know, interest. So I thought they were cute. I mean, I did read them very quickly. I think I read, like, 1 a day or something like that, so they're really easy to get through. But I really loved the TV show, and I think I like the TV show more, honestly. It just felt like it kind of eliminated some of the immaturity of the characters, which, at the same time, I don't know if that's, you know, taking away from their child experience because they were children, but besides the point. The next book I read, and this is the last book, is Rock, Paper, Scissors by, oh gosh, Alice Feeney is the author, and then The Summer I Turned Pretty is by Jenny Han. But I read Rock, Paper, Scissors, and it is a thriller about a couple who their marriage is falling apart, and they go and stay at this converted church in the middle of nowhere, pretty much, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens. I think this is, like, the first thriller that I was like, what? I in no way would have ever guessed the twist that happened in it. It was so good. You, like, get 4 different perspectives in the book. You get Adam, Amelia, these letters written by, and so Adam and Amelia are married, and you get these letters by Adam's wife, and you get a woman named Robin. So you get all of those perspectives throughout the story, and the way that the stories, like, weave and connect to each other is crazy. I really enjoyed it. I read half of it and I listened to part of it on audiobook as well, so I did both. But I really liked it. I loved the letters. I just thought they were nice, and, like, it was a cool change to, like, you're obviously switching, the letters written in the past, so you're switching back and forth between, like, the past and what's going on right now, so their marriage is, like, bad and stuff like that. So I really liked it, and I'm so happy with everything that I read this month. I think that Stephanie Garber's books were definitely a highlight. I love them so much, and I cannot wait until the last book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart series comes out, and I'm excited for February because I think I'm going to read lots of good stuff. So let me know what your favorite book of January was. Definitely going to have to go with Once Upon a Broken Heart for me, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!